Oh God, please don't find me. Please. Okay, let me back this story up a bit. I'm 23 and moved into an old school building turned into an apartment. District 13 Middle School is the name. It's a massive old red brick building, almost castle-like, and an eerie outline from the gray luminous clouds that constantly hang above it. I found the basement to call home. It's underground and dead silent. I work online for a video game company making games like Slender or other indie horror games. I was animating a new horrifying-looking, decaying Slender Man, his clothes torn, a jaw hanging by muscle and tendons, and him trembling with each movement, his bones crunch and pop as he motioned to walk towards the screen to me. The bright computer screen flickered and it crunched and popped as I instructed it to. I clapped and laughed from being completely terrified. It was my job to scare people, so if I scare myself, I've done an amazing job. I thought to myself, I've got to call my friend Stacy. I flipped open my phone in excitement, only to find my phone roaming. Damn it! No signal. So, I made my way up the stairs in the dark apartment building, in search of that signal. Not one bar showed up from the back of my apartment to down the hallway. That damn flip phone screen. I took a breath from getting pissed off at my phone, grabbed my Red Reaper's jacket, and headed to the front door. I heard a peculiar sound of dripping in the hallway. My hand barely had frozen on the handle. I slowly opened the loud, creaky door, which hadn't helped my sense of security, only making me more paranoid. I walked slowly into the hallway, dimly lit with one electronic, just very annoying, buzzing, blinking light. A few doors down, next to me on my right, was the pitch-black staircase leading to the first set of maroon heavy metal doors to the outside, awaiting a dark parking lot. So, I headed down the hallway, making absolute sure not to make a sound on the tile floor, the matted down gray carpet keeping my movements silent. Still hearing the dripping towards a large secure door at the end of the hall just before the lit stairs I was about to walk up, I braced myself for the journey, for I was paranoid for the dark. I've never been a fan of the dark. I'm a necrophobic. I just hate the dark. I have no words for my hatred for it. I took another deep breath, reassuring myself that everything was fine, and I gripped the cold black railing of the steep concrete stairs as I crept to the metal doors with a slim rectangular window in each. All I could hear was the eerie howl of wind circling outside. I looked out a window, my horror game making me go crazy. I thought to myself, screaming in my head, I can't see the sides. Something's bound to pop up, I just know it. I kept yelling that in my head, but I did the unthinkable. I creaked open the loud, squeaky metal door and walked outside. The only sound now was my completely terrified heart pounding anyway. I pulled out my small, dainty little phone and redialed Stacy. She answered! Stacy, I finally finished Slender's movement. I stopped, as increasingly loud and very fast footsteps echoed from the hall behind me, as I was standing there. Riley, are you okay? I heard Stacy yell in a very concerned tone. I must have whimpered in fear because I heard her calm down and giggle over the phone, which calmed me down, and I blushed a bit as the footsteps have long since gone. I turned and walked inside as the dead silence once again filled the air. I started to make my way down the stairs again, and then I noticed a familiar sound, that repetitive dripping. I screamed and fell over, curled up in a ball. As reoccurring images of people behind that secure door at the end of the hallway, hung by their tenderest spots of muscle, by their ankles, through their heels, hooked through their spines, bleeding out, the last drops of life, all scattered across the floor. That was the source of the steady dripping. I got myself back together. I had to get up. I just had to. Images kept flashing. A few of their arms were hanging by just the nerves. As I imagined myself in my mind in this little room behind that secure door, I stood there staring at this sight. I looked towards a dark corner to where my eyes met piercing yellow eyes. The eyes of a dark creature with a low growl. It had elongated fingers, very tall. The loud crunching and cracking could be heard as it tore a body slowly in half, as the person made it just made the most inhuman-like groan. It's still alive, I thought. I was then yanked from the terrifying place. My mind just went. Little did I know that wouldn't be the only time I would venture into that place that changed the way I viewed my perfect apartment. As I got up and walked down the hall, then, like a ton of bricks, this smell of rotting meat invaded my nose. I gagged and raced to my room, then took a long drink from the water glass I had next to my computer desk. I looked down behind me to the door I had left open, looking straight down to that oh-so-secure door at the end of the hallway. Out of curiosity, I grabbed a fire extinguisher and stomped down with confidence down the hallway, down the dim, dark hall towards that damn door. But as I grew nearer, the smell got stronger. And the horrific crunching and cracking of sticks? No. Bones. And the clanking of heavy chains followed by a steady drip, drip, drip. I already knew it was blood. I raised the extinguisher, and with a loud yell, I brought it down to the lock with great force. Then, a very creepy voice stopped me, a hair away from the lock. And it said to me, "Riley, what's behind that door is your finest work yet." I stood there in silence for a few moments, gathered my thoughts, and I started to laugh as I looked down at my reflection in a pool of blood on the floor. My short black hair hanging low, casting a shadow on my eyes, the light making me almost have white irises, like the creature I had seen in my visions as it was curled up on that floor. Around the white irises, there was a fiery yellow ring. My tall, very slender body, long hands, and dark figure. I smiled in a twisted grin and entered the code in the keypad that had locked the door. That steel secure door. Should have known I should have changed the code to it. 1369. I muttered in a low, disturbing growl before I entered the grotesque torture room that stank of rotted inhuman remains. Well, I have work to do. After all, the new game's coming soon.